Cities, Skylines, a guide to basic information and gameplay tips. For anybody searching for a means to create stunning cities and landscapes or take on the issues of industrial planning, budgeting, and satisfying the needs of their citizens. Cities, Skylines continues to be one of the finest city-building games. Cities, Skylines has expanded in both its features and the amount of things that new players must be aware of in order to get started. Before getting back into Cities, Skylines, these gameplay tips are a big help for returning players. Tip number 1. Maintain industry's distance from other zones. Industrial zones naturally create pollution that lowers the quality of life for anybody who lives nearby, especially during the beginning of a new city. The residents as well as the player will benefit by keeping this sector apart from the others when growing later, despite the temptation to put everything close together where you can see them all at once. Tip number 2. Early resource checking. To ensure that the city grows well, it is crucial to know where they are early on. This will allow the player to place various sectors where they would be most effective after they have unlocked specialized industry districts. By checking ahead of time, players may be sure to reserve a precious space to grow into a prosperous enterprise when the time is ripe. Tip number 3. Carefully consider the layout. If the initial road system proves to be unworkable on a bigger scale as a city develops, moving items around will become exponentially more difficult. Planning ahead is crucial while creating the city to ensure that there are many avenues for automobiles. Tip number 4. Put public transportation first. Prioritizing bus lines, rail stations, and other forms of public transit early on in the planning of the city is one strategy to alleviate. This is doing so may significantly lower the amount of automobiles on the road. Tip number 5. Organize road improvements. Every city will ultimately run out of beginning roadways that can accommodate the volume of traffic it currently receives. Upgrading roads to a larger version with more lanes, enabling more automobiles to travel on them at once, is typically one of the first remedies to this problem. Tip number 6. Establish pathways between things. Players may now use pathways, which are corridors in the city that are only intended for foot traffic, once parks have been opened. People will prefer walking along a walkway over using sidewalks, driving, or even taking public transportation. Therefore, it will reduce traffic. Tip number 7. The value of traffic circles. Many players find the game's pre-built traffic circles to be a little too big and awkward to fit in the city, but they may be certain that their own custom traffic circles will function just as well while taking up less room. Once understood, this will offer the player far greater control over their roadways. Tip number 8. Offer many access points to the highway. Each industry area that has to export resources or goods out of the city must build a convenient alternate route to the highways in and out of the city, even if it merely entails establishing a new branch off of what was formerly your single highway exit.